We explore Poland's pilot project for shorter work hours and full pay with Andriy Marysiuk, an international labor organization expert. Our discussion covers the advantages of reduced work time, global examples of success, and the essential role of business process automation. We also delve into employee and employer perspectives on this innovative shift. Poland launches a pilot project to shorten working hours without lowering salaries. Very interesting topic. Write to us about it. As the Ministry of Labor has announced, this is the first such initiative in Central Europe. The project will be financed from the Labor Fund. The government allocated 10 million zlotys to it. Companies, local authorities, trade unions, and funds will be able to join the experiment. They will test different models, less hours in the week, or shorten working days. According to the ministry, this will help to reduce burnout, the number of doctors, mistakes, improve the health of employees, including mental ones. Research shows that at the same time the financial performance of companies does not deteriorate. Here it is. More than 60% of Poles support the shortening of working hours for the sake of saving full salaries, added the Minister of Labor of Poland Agnieszka Damianowicz-Bong. According to her, this is a desirable decision for society, and there are already effective models of such work in the world. Reducing hours in the week, or shortening working days per week, or extending vacations, all these approaches are considered within the scope of the pilot project. For its implementation, a special team will be created in the ministry, which will monitor the experiment and prepare legislative recommendations. The Ministry of Labor has stated that Polish companies have already successfully used similar formats of work without reducing productivity. Let's discuss this topic with an expert from the International Labor Organization, Andriy Marysiuk. Mr. Andriy, welcome.
Good afternoon.
Mr. Andriy, which option do you prefer? Less working days per week or less working hours per day? Or add to the...
I like absolutely all the options, and perhaps the most popular is the combined option, when 3 days a week is a full working day, and 2 days are 6 hours of work instead of 8. But, of course, this news caused a great resonance because Poland is really the first country in Central Europe which introduced this pilot project and allocated money for it. However, knowing the experience of other companies, I can say that it is not so easy at all. I understand perfectly well why the employees expect a wow effect from the adoption of this pilot project, which may even turn into a full-fledged legal project. But based on the experience of other international companies which, let's say, shout about their success, and this is really true, we can really understand that it is necessary to introduce someone quickly. But on the other hand, I will say that there are a lot of buts that, unfortunately, for some reason, are not spoken about, can lead to a critical level. Let me explain. Here, we need to consider the situation on the part of the employees and on the part of the employers. If we consider the situation on the part of the employees, then, unfortunately, as practice shows, because similar projects were launched in America, in Japan, and even in Ukraine, there were such private projects and private companies. And, as you can imagine, the practice has shown that most of the employees accept this price innovation in such a way that is super cool. Now you can work the same number of hours, the same number of days, but the salary will be higher. That is, if you consider this law project or this pilot project, it is necessary to clearly indicate that the number of overtime hours should be strictly limited. It should be fixed. Otherwise, our mentality, our people, they adapt to this so that now you can work 4 days a week with the saving of a 5-day salary while taking overtime because they're used to working on Fridays and using their 5-day working week, which was, for example, a month ago, to earn simply if the overtime hours are not strictly regulated. This project simply makes no sense because people do not understand what it is all for. This project is made primarily for all countries of the world. You are right to increase efficiency, loyalty, and improve health, but for people to understand that it is about respect for themselves, for the result, and for the employer. If people don't understand it, unfortunately, it doesn't make any sense at all.
Mr. Andriy, may I ask you about the experience of other countries, where it has been successful and what are the positives? Because Poland is not the first country in the world that, as you rightly said, has done it. I know such a story in Britain, my friends told me. I know about it in Belgium. I know about it in Iceland. So, what happens and what is the advantage? I think that now a lot of people are listening to this because someone does not want to work less for the same salary.
Iceland. They first made a 4-day working week. They had such an experiment from the beginning, from the 15th to the 19th years. And there, at first, a part of the people took part. 2,500 employees of large and small enterprises. They worked from 35 to 38 hours a week with full salary savings.
And what did this experiment show? First, a stable increase in productivity. 1. Increase in the level of involvement of clients. 2. Expenditure on energy resources on the enterprise has decreased because then it was necessary to reduce light, to make it shine, to make it burn, to use water and so on. Paying the doctors accordingly, people somehow became less ill. Something happened to their health, that they began to feel better. And at the moment, about 90% of the population of Iceland is involved in the 4-day working week system. Not least, a large-scale experiment was carried out in Great Britain in the 22nd year. We have just recently talked about it on the air. There were about 70 companies involved. There was a reduction of working hours by 20%, with a full saving of salaries. And the workload for each employee remained at the same level. That is, you still have to do your job, but you can do it. You have to come from call to call, and you can do it in less time, when it is convenient for you, and that's it. And you still have some time for your life. To live, to see this life. You understand how much I am involved in this moment, right? Another interesting moment. Canada-France announced the shortening of the working week. There is an active transition to 4-day work for civil servants and employees of some categories of enterprises. And Belgium. An interesting moment. There, a 4-day working week is fixed at the legislative level. Each employee decides for himself how many days he has to work, 4 or 5. And how did they do it? I agree with all the above, because if there used to be such a clear idea, I got confused by the arguments, right? Yes, I'm happy to answer. If there used to be such a clear idea that a good employer is the one who gives the opportunity to work, then now it does not work, because now a good employer is the one who gives the opportunity not only to work, but also to live. And the account that gives the social package, which gives the possibility of various bonuses, the kitchen, the TSE, the workabout employees. Oh, okay. Moreover, with the current yes, of course, this is a very important factor. You did not mention Japan, which is also a very good example because we all know, I think, the Microsoft company, which also has a successful presence in Japan. It is a clear and good representative of this case, because having transferred most of its employees
to 4 after some time, she declared that she would not return to the 5-day week anymore, because the efficiency has increased by 40%. But on the other hand, I also want to add some sad details to this beautiful picture. The fact is that in order to switch to this 4-day week or just a combined system,
if you want to make it possible to work less, but leave the salary without changes, you need to understand 3 key points for all employers. The first point is that it must be financed, then it will be painless. If it is financed, as now in Poland, the pilot project for 10 million zlotys is super. Yes, the labor fund, yes.
Indeed, if it is not funded, you have to understand the second project. You can get involved, switch to this reduced work schedule, if you are ready for it. That is, the employer must properly automate the processes. Perhaps now, with the use of artificial intelligence, it is very cool. And in this way, give people the opportunity to really use their work less, but the processes will be the same. If you do not finance, and you do not have time or desire to make changes to your business process, I will tell you the other side of the statistics. Unfortunately, those employers who conduct a shortened working week without preparation and at the same time do not reduce expectations regarding the work plan of employees will receive very negative experience. Because these tasks, moreover, there is a statistic which was published in an American publication. It was analyzed that those employees who already worked on a 4-day week do not want to return to a 5-day one. Or if they want to return, then they require an increase in the salary from 10 to 50%.
And I totally understand well, Mr. Andriy, agree that you said, I even wrote down this phrase for you to make changes to the business process. And those who do not want, does not it mean that very soon they will become outsiders to the market?
If they do not improve it, you are absolutely right. While there was a lot of manual labor before, in our time, we simply do not have the right, in the age of artificial intelligence and absolute and total automation, to live by business processes that were accepted 15 or 10 years ago. For example, America. Now, every economic country clearly understands that in order to become economically developed, you need to work not from morning to evening. You need to work wisely and efficiently. And that's when they valid. Valid. You can do it in a short time, but when you have rested mentally and physically, you can get involved. Do it cool in a short time, breathe everything out, and then continue to replenish yourself. As psychologists say, with resources, to be in the resource, it's cool to continue doing your job. I completely agree, because before it was important how much time you spent at work. Now it doesn't work. Now, it's important how much you did during the time you spent at work. And this is a huge advantage for effective people who can work for 4 hours, go home, and know that they still get a bonus because they did everything they needed to do. I have always said this too. I thank you for this. The topic is really very important, very interesting.
Mr. Andriy, now I will say this subjectively for myself, that it is important how you work and not how much. You came from call to call and so on. But the most important thing is how you turn it on, how you do it, how high quality it is. The producer tells me that it's time to say goodbye to you, but maybe she also wants us to work less hours. But it was also quality, not less, and the salary was paid the same. We will talk later.
That chronic fatigue contributes to the disease. First. Second, this is understandable. People need a rest to work better. In Norway, the working day is limited to 2 hours. And so on. What does Mr. Pavel write? People work poorly. He believes that once the same job can be done in 4 days. Why do they work poorly? No, they work well. They did it in 4 days and want to live that life. This is how we were taught in the Soviet Union, that who does not work does not eat. You must constantly be strong from morning to night.
Now other topics are coming up. The topic is very important. I think we will return to it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Andriy Marysiuk, an international employment expert, was in touch with us. We talked about something interesting. I see that our viewers also like.